Hey, peace and blessings to you. My name is Jerry B. I am the EntreMusician, and so are you. And certainly it can be said of the young man who we're going to have a great conversation with. In fact, this is the story of the student becoming the teacher.
Oh, wow.
Orlando
Oh, wow.
Watson, Senior Director of Programming at August Wilson African American Cultural Center in Pittsburgh. He's the former Associate Director at the Tri-C Jazz Fest in Cleveland. He used to, once upon a time, be an independent musician too. We'll find out if he's still in that game. But this is Orlando. Man, blessings.
My brother, peace, man. Always a pleasure to see you. How's it going?
All is very well, and I know it is with you, man, because I try to keep up as much as I can, but you're clicking like this, absolutely on point.
Thank you. I'm doing what I can.
No, you're not. You're doing more than you can. That's
for
sure.
Yeah. My wife might say that too. I'm actually trying to find a better balance between work and home. So we can talk about that too.
I've been there. It's a tightrope, but you're just celebrating a year in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
At August Wilson.
Yes, I started at August Wilson Center November 1st of 22. Craziest story how it came about. Wasn't looking for it. God just
dropped it in your lap. Well, you were doing good work in Cleveland, though. You were really starting to advance, and you grew up in Cleveland. That's hometown, right?
Hometown. Born and raised Cleveland, Ohio. I didn't move to Youngstown, which is where I met you, until 2009, which is when I graduated high school and went right into my first semester at Youngstown State. Lived in Youngstown for about 8 years. Came back to Cleveland.
Met your wife. First met your wife.
Yeah, there you go.
Met your wife in the Yo.
Right. Yes, that's absolutely right. Met my wife in the Yo, my then girlfriend, now wife, 2 kids later.
Man.
I got married in 2015 and bounced back to Cleveland, and I worked there for a few years, which I did radio for a little bit at 93.1 Z1079. But I wasn't on air. People think I was on air. I wish I was on air. I was working in like marketing and promotions.
Well, you got the voice for it. That's why.
I got the voice for it. I would love to do it. If you know anybody who's, part-time side hustle, let me know. I hop on a podcast every now and then,
I was going to say, I think I could hook you up with that. But since Dana already said you're too off balance, then I can't recommend.
You see what I'm saying, man? She will appreciate you for that one. She will appreciate you. You're doing too much.
That's right.
Yeah, I was at Tri-C Jazz Fest for almost 4 years, about 3.5 years as the associate director, working alongside the great Cherry Pond Tremley. She's been programming Jazz Fest, Tri-C Jazz Fest, and Detroit Jazz Fest for probably about as long as I've been alive, literally. So
Detroit as well. Detroit as well as Cleveland.
She was in Detroit for several years, if I'm not mistaken. This is before I started with her. She did one at a time, but she left Tri-C at a certain point to go to Detroit, but then she came back and taught me everything she knew. And I took that to Pittsburgh. And so between you, yourself, and Terry Pond Tremley, EntreMusician.
You are an EntreMusician. That's a great book you have behind you too.
I'm on the wrong side. There we go. Right there. Yeah, here we go.
Wonderful book. Wonderful. But you started out by saying it was a situation where God dropped that position into your lap. Tell us a little bit about the transition of how that happened.
Jerry, I promise you, man, wasn't looking for this job. I've been trying to move to Los Angeles since about 2016. Every time I try to move, I'm not trying to be deep, but I just feel like
go deep.
I just feel like it don't come full circle the way that I feel like things should. First time I went out to LA, me and my wife were looking for jobs. She got a gig as a leasing agent for an apartment complex and everything. And it was cool. But as a man, I didn't feel comfortable going out to Los Angeles, of all places, the most expensive place in America,
Absolutely.
Not having something solid, something secure, no publishing deal, no nothing, no promise, no guarantee. I was like, yeah. So when we were in LA, we were at Universal Studios just on a downtime kick it day, just enjoying ourselves. And leaving Universal Studios, we were in the parking lot. That's when I got a call from Tri-C, like, hey, we loved your resume. We'd like to set up your first interview. So headed back to Cleveland 3.5, 4 years later. That's how that happened. Now, into the August Wilson Center because I took a gig, which I almost didn't take, with Chris Coles, my brother Chris Coles.
Yeah.
Saxophonist. Yeah, beautiful composer, saxophonist out of Akron, Ohio. And he had a show at the Rubber City Jazz Fest in September 10th, 2022. I'll never forget that date. And I almost didn't take the gig. He had me write a special piece for a song that he was doing. He had a suite of music based around anime, and I don't watch anime. That's not my thing. So I was like, I don't know if I'm your guy for it, but he broke it down to me. He's like, well, it's about really like fatherhood and parenting and stuff like that. I thought, okay, maybe we can do it. So I almost didn't take it, but I took it, wrote one poem. And when I got to Akron, got on stage to perform it, I might have been on stage all of 4 minutes. Band was killing. Chris is always killing. His compositions are bar none, just amazing. So I was honored to be there. And unbeknownst to me, the president, artistic director, CEO of the August Wilson Center was in the audience. And after I got off stage, I usually just shoot right back home just to get back to the family man, situation. But all the homies was out there, man. Cats I haven't seen in months or even years. Frank was out there, JB. A lot of cats were just out there. So I just wanted to, a lot of times, try not to just do my thing, but support other cats and what they're doing, their sets and stuff like that. So some was just like, Holy Spirit was just like, kick back, chill, just relax. Hit up Dana, make sure she was good with the kids. Everything was good. So I just kicked back for another 90 minutes or so. While I was chilling, watching all these other cats do their thing. Matter of fact, I was watching Kenny Bell. Kenny Bell had a set with Reagan Gray, and it was killing, super killing. A cat named, they were playing behind Colin Miller, soul singer out of Cleveland. You got to get hip to Colin Miller. I've seen some records. But as I was doing that, just chilling, a young lady walks up to me. She had the COVID N95 mask on, and it was dim in the lounge or whatever. And she was like, hey, I really enjoyed your poem, your spoken word. I'm like, thank you. So small talking and everything. And she hands me a flyer. I don't even know where I put it. She hands me a flyer to the Jazz Fest, Pittsburgh Jazz Fest. And I thought she was just a street team member, had no idea. So I was like, oh, cool. I was like, I'll try to pull up. She's like, will you really? She's like, will you really? And I was like, yeah, for sure. She was like, all right. She was like, free admission, you're an artist. She was like, just come, let me know what you think about it. I was like, cool. I was like, well, as a return to that favor, I'll make sure you come to my festival in June. Because Pittsburgh is in September and Tri-C in Cleveland is in June annually. So she's like, your festival, what you mean? I was like, well, I'm the associate director of the Tri-C Jazz Fest up in Cleveland. I work alongside Terry Pond. She was like, do you? And I was like, yeah, wow, what's up? She was like, well, I'm the president of August Wilson Center, and I curate an umbrella of festivals, one being the Pittsburgh International Jazz Fest. She's like, what do you do there? And she's like, do artist relations, negotiations, stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, that's back of my hand. You know what I'm saying? I do that second nature. She's like, I need you to come work for me. And that's literally how I got the job, Jerry. So she brought me up there, toured the facility. Obviously, I stayed up there for the weekend. Me and Dana got the babysitter. We kicked it up there for the weekend, and the rest is history. A year later, It's been beautiful, man. But almost didn't take the gig. I never would. I wouldn't have seen it. I didn't even know August Wilson Center existed. So, yeah.
It's amazing thing about opportunities, man, because you never know when your next situation is coming in on point. You never know that. So God bless Chris Coles for even asking you and getting you in. Do you know a little bit more about anime than you did then?
No.
So you just kept it moving.
Yeah, I kept it moving.
Yeah. Yeah, leapfrogged right into August Wilson. So that's
I
really
watched
good.
just enough to write that piece.
That is so cool. But tell me a little bit because I mean, before YSU, now
Hmm.
your sights were you took communications major, but your sights were just focused upon being a performer, being a writer, being a spoken word artist, and so
Yeah,
none of this was in your purview. Is that correct?
no. The closest thing is when I worked with you in Indiana recordings. You brought me on, which is really still like a dream job as an A&R. And that's when you was working with Phil Jones, Tari, Avery. You had quite a few. Jim Coconauer. You had a little roster. Yeah, man. So you brought me on. I think I was like 18, 19 at the time, and you showed me a lot.
You seem
But
like you were 32 though, to be
I'm
honest.
32 now. So that makes me like 64.
Wow. Oh my God. Oh my God. No, I mean you always had, and Lori, my wife, she said this before, you've always had a very, very mature spirit, very mature outlook. So if you were 18 or 19 then, we didn't see that. We didn't.
Yeah, I was definitely young and poor. And y'all took me in, fed me. I
Yeah.
remember that's when the girls
You
was
had to eat.
small. Girls was kiddies, toddlers. They super
Yeah.
grown.
Yeah.
So
26 and 23 now. So
that's crazy. That's
really
crazy.
interesting. But we're having a private conversation. Now, back to the people who need to know who you are. When you were in high
Yeah.
school, it was communications, but your sight was on being a spoken word artist.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yep. It
So
was.
where do you see the transition now that you really are doing major work? I mean, you're bringing major people to August Wilson. You just had the Pittsburgh International Jazz Fest. All
Yeah.
of the names that should be names, you are behind this happening.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself at center stage now? Do you still see that, or is that something that's peripheral, or what's going on there?
And that is a great question. I'm honestly trying to figure it out, Jerry,
Hmm.
to be 100% honest with you. So when we first met, I was playing drums. And really, I was kind of just getting to the spoken word realm. Really starting to do a lot of writing at that point. But I was 100% committed to being like a studio musician and a tour musician. I wanted to be like the next Aaron Spears, late great Aaron Spears, who just passed away a couple weeks ago. So that was my goal. I literally wanted to play with Usher. So when I met you, that's where I was really starting to get heavy into writing. I founded an organization on campus called Premier Poets Guild. I will hold and facilitate weekly workshops every Tuesday for like 2 hours for other aspiring writers such as myself who just needed that community. So I was really, going deep into the writing territory, and stuff to start opening up. I started like doing a name for myself around Youngstown as Seven. People still call me Seven. Phil the Beat still calls me Seven to this day.
Hey, so
So,
so 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 just a thumb tag. I mean, even earlier today, as we were setting this up, I was asking, what do you want me to call you?
yeah, right,
Because it's like, you know, uh,
right.
yeah, but seven. I mean, that really hung tight. So feel the beat is right. That was like you can hang your hat on that one. But anyway, I
Yeah,
digress.
yeah,
As you were putting this team together, this community together at YSU,
yep,
the goal is still Seven or Orlando the performer, correct?
yeah. Yeah, I was still performing very heavily around town. I used to perform, I think it was called Heart Reach, Heart Reach Ministry. Yeah, Heart Reach. They used to have Stefano, artist named Stefano Nuso. Used to have yep, used to have an open mic, I think on the every other Thursday on Thursdays called New Blaze. And I really, really sharpened my skills at New Blaze, really honed my craft there. Used to be other poets and singers, songwriters. So it was a really cool space to kind of like catapult and launch from. So it was real cool there. But I don't know, man. Fast forward, just one thing led to another. I started recording, released my first single in 2014. I started hosting. I mean, the host Second Sundays, I think around like 2013, and we did that for quite a while at Lemon Grove and down the street. Um,
Youngstown Jazz Fest.
Youngstown Jazz Fest, all of that, man. So Yeah. So I had time on the mic, but I also had time behind the mic and like learning about with you like copywriting and publishing and just like the inner workings of what makes the business go and feel behind the performer and like the business aspect. So I've always been interested in both. And now I'm in a space to where like I have access to both. And a lot of the artists that you see me in photos with and booking, a lot of them I'm collaborating with. So it's like more so these days I'm in a recording space instead of like on stage. Last time I hit stage was like in May, which when I was still in Cleveland, I was on stage maybe every other week or something like that. So it's definitely slowed down. But I like where I'm at. I like where I'm at right now. And the main goal for me is to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. So if I want to record an album and I need to call in a couple favors from Jam and Lewis or Keon Harold or something like that, I can, but I'm not pressed. I don't have to. I never want to be in a place to where like survival mode, to where I had to make music, I had to be on stage, or I had to tour to provide for my family or just be happy. I do wish I wrote more than I have been lately. However, I did just, I'm pretty much like 98% done with my manuscript for my first book of poetry, which I'll be, seeking publication soon. So I'm still writing, but I literally used to write for hours a day, every day. And then with 2 kids and stuff like this, it's just not, that ain't where it's at, so, transition. But God is keeping me sharp. I do pray oftentimes that he just increases my capacity and my ability to learn new things, new words, and not only just retain the gift, but grow the gift, even in my, I hate to use the word absence away from practicing as much as I like to. So I just ask for that grace because, I still want to be one of the best.
No, absolutely. In fact, I think when you had posted on Facebook after the passing of Clarence Avant, and you said, "Yo, I'm about to step up in here," and I had to like
Yeah.
just suggest you just wait your turn because somebody else is trying to get up in there, but I see you, 40 years from this moment, I see you in a position where you are really connecting the dots because you are a people person and your communication skills is off the hook. No thanks to YSU, but I mean, just because of who you are and your spirit, and that's exactly what Clarence did in his career. That's how he made things happen
Yeah.
and hooked this person up with that person to make that
Yeah.
deal, not
Yeah.
just in entertainment, but in sports and politics. I mean, just all the way around, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Ultimate deal maker. And I really adore that cat from a mile away. Obviously he recently passed a few months ago, but when I stumbled across that documentary, it was something like a light bulb went off, and I was like, "Oh, this is who I am." I had no idea he existed, but sometimes you come across either somebody's music or somebody's biography or documentary, you'd be like, "Oh, thank you, Lord, it all makes sense." So when I saw that, I was like, "Yeah, he's exactly who I'm supposed to model my blueprint after." Christ, Clarence A. and Gil Scott Heron. I see myself as like a blend between like Gil Scott and Clarence. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, man. Let's
That's
see peace.
absolutely right. Well, I'm gonna put you on the spot, and I mean, both of our nose is already brown, so we don't have to say anything that we don't mean. We don't have to kiss anybody's butt or do anything like that. But
Okay.
always with respect to, I mean, you saw the beginning, you saw what was happening at Diana, you saw the beginning of the EntreMusician, and when I look at you, I see you as the consummate EntreMusician. I mean, you have your business right on point. You have your music on point. And like you said, I don't know what you're doing with the drums. I'll ask you that next. But, with respect to writing, with respect to working with the artists that you do, how would you define, this is from the outside looking in, how would you define an EntreMusician?
Ooh.
And I don't want you to try to flatter because you're on the podcast or anything like that. I mean, just straight up, how do you see yourself as an EntreMusician or just this component?
What personal standpoint or just what EntreMusician is to me? Okay, I'll try to tackle both with the same answer. So EntreMusician to me is having a beautiful balance between being an entrepreneur and a musician, obviously, but not just honing enough skill as a musician to where you have to solely rely on somebody to handle the business. Having the balance. One thing that I always remember, and I mentioned to other people I talk to, is that I don't know if this was an original quote, but this stuck with me. You said, pray that your gift doesn't outweigh your character and your character doesn't outweigh your gift. So I don't know if that's original or not, but that always stood out to me. I look at the business aspect and the musician or the poet aspect the same way. Like, I don't want my gift to get me in the room, but my character extract me or remove me from the room. But I don't want to be that guy who's like super like people person-y, but like I suck, honestly. But people like pity me and give me opportunities because of my personality. I want to be like one of the best that you know on both aspects. So, that's my prayer. But I believe that's what an EntreMusician is, just mastering the art of balance.
Yeah.
Mastering the art of
That's
balance.
good. And that's hard because it really is a tightrope.
It
And
is.
that, we both find ourselves on the 60-40, 70-30 sometimes end of it because the work still needs to be done, and that was one of the reasons, of course, the story. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but, Sound Doctrine coming off the road in 2008 after my mom passed. I mean, we could have really went soaring because, all wheels were in motion. But when she passed away, the one thing that conquered my thought was the fact that I knew my mom. My mom was always there. And yet I'm calling, and, the girls were small, and I'm calling them from different hotel rooms. They put me on the phone, and it's like, you can't do that. Now that they're 26 and 23, it's full, yeah, full, boom, full throttle. But then, it was necessary to do the dad thing because you got to have
Yeah,
it. You got to have that balance. Your children
yeah,
have to know who their dad is.
for sure.
Not what their dad does, because if what their dad does is more important than who their dad is,
Yeah.
it's off balance for sure.
Yeah, man. So you're always giving me quotes, man. Thank you. I'll deposit that one too.
Yeah. And
Like
the other
your dad.
one wasn't original. I don't know who gave that to me, but the character standpoint and your talent and your gift, that's something that here we go again. Not trying to get deep, but the Bible really does give a healthy perspective on many, many people who their
Mhm.
gift outweighed their character or their character, was in line with their gift, and those were the ones who always prospered.
Right, right,
But they
right.
could fall off, and they were the greatest in the world at what they did,
What they
but who
did.
they were didn't level
Yeah,
up. So, yeah,
right, right. Yeah. So that always is in. Always hear that voice. It's always in the
yeah.
back of my mind. So thank you.
Well, absolutely, absolutely, man. Now, let me ask you another question about music. Where is
Yeah.
music going? Because what I see when you were at Tri C, but much more here with August Wilson and the caliber of musicians that you had on
Yeah.
stage, you pulled from the past a lot, but there were a lot of relevancy. Well, so where do you see the future, 5 years, 10 years in music, as far as artistry, as far as intimacy, intelligence? Where do you see? Are we losing ground, or you think we're gaining ground?
Yeah. That's a loaded question.
I
That's a very loaded
know,
question.
but you're the one that can answer. You can. You're right
Um,
there. You're in the middle of it.
man, that's an
And
interesting
be
question.
honest. Be honest. Be transparent. You don't
Yeah,
have to
no, for
name
sure.
names or something, but just where do you see it?
I think it's going in a great direction. I'm speaking, I guess, in a few areas right now. With jazz, um, I was just tuned in to the nomination presentation of the Grammys, and reviewing the list of alternative jazz album, best instrumental, all of that stuff. Had some heavy hitters, man. Lakeisha Benjamin, saxophonist, was just nominated for 3 Grammys. You got Adam Blackstone, world-renowned music director and bassist. He's nominated. So musically, I think we're in a good space a lot of times. I mean, I think it kind of varies year to year and genre to genre, actually. I'm a huge hip-hop fan as well. And I think also it comes down to preference and what speaks to you, and what stage you're in your life. Stuff that I was listening to when I was like 13, it's not relevant to me at 32, you know, with 2 kids and stuff like that, you know. So I think the temperature of the music is also determined by where your ears are tuned to, you know. So I don't know. I'm hopeful, and a lot of artists that I have a relationship with and rapport with, and I'm in connection to, are making some killing stuff, man. Sometimes I get stuff in advance. It just makes me excited about what's to come. And people in my sphere of influence are still very eager about making quality material, whether it be hip hop. I know a lot of hip hop artists and rappers, a lot of jazz musicians and R&B singers, gospel artists who are very serious about investing in their EntreMusicianship to, you know, get the work done and be a great artist and handle business the right way. And speaking of which, you've witnessed the Music Expo Masterclass series that takes place in Cleveland that me and myself and Vinnie Palmer put on, and you can see the level of interest from not only students but community members who come out to hear from the likes of like Ashante Can, a Derek Hodge, Kyrie Tyler, who are these big names, touring musicians and recording artists who take a moment out of their schedule to come make deposits into aspiring artists, and not even aspiring, but professionals such as you and myself who have made a living doing exactly what we're talking about. So to me, that gives me hope in the direction of music. So to me, it's a little bit bigger than the actual record. It's about the community, education aspect and engagement as well. So yeah, I don't really have anything negative to say. I think it's a spectrum, though. I think it's about what you listen to, you know. So
Sure. I understand that, and I appreciate the transparency. Loaded question number 2, and then I think I might leave you alone. We don't know yet, but loaded question number 2 is with respect to your position as far as performances are concerned, and that's a good revenue stream for artists, touring artists especially. The backdoor of that is what's happening in streaming, which seems to be kind of declining or getting worse, you know. And then, of course, we have BMI going from a nonprofit to a for-profit and taking
I
a
didn't know that.
different cut. Oh yeah. They were purchased, but they're purchased to be positioned to sell for profit. I'm a capitalist, so I'm not against anybody making money. I'm just looking at least our community and the EntreMusician is talking about. We're talking about, you know, better ways to create revenue, because we can only rely on streaming as far as a promotional service. It's really literally nothing else because there are no pennies coming in, you know,
Yeah.
fractions and fractions of pennies. But are you at the August Wilson Center, or from a standpoint of looking at performance, are you seeing other vehicles whereby artists can increase their revenue? You know, it could be merchandise, it could be, you know, getting into other ventures that walk in parallel with their performances. Are you seeing anything like that or thinking through that?
Yeah. Yes. I always push for artists to have merchandise with them. Um, Also, going back to what I was saying, there's a component in the educational aspect that is lucrative as well. Master classes, clinics, things like that, which I feel like a lot of artists need to take advantage of and tap into, because there are literal organizations and educational institutions who have departments that are craving that and literally have to spend down budget money per year for students and public consumption and engagement. So yes, to answer your question, but I also don't have all the answers. Obviously, if I did, my pockets would be a lot thicker than they are right now. But yeah.
No, that's good, man, because I just, you have a very different perspective than most. Being behind the scenes, being able to reach out to named artists, Grammy Award winners, nominees, etc., and you can see it from both spectrums because again, when you were in high school in Cleveland and what you wanted to do, and what you're doing now, there's a totally different revenue stream.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just figured I'd ask what your perspective was. Those were kind of something to think. And really, when I said from the beginning, Orlando, I mean it totally. I am completely very, 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 very honored to be your friend and extremely proud of what you're doing. Know that Holy Spirit has dropped some things in your lap that you were not prepared for, hadn't planned for. However, you have always been in a state of preparation. So that's how you've been there. This is truly the student becoming the teacher. That's for real. This is Orlando Watson. It's your shirt, actually. I'll give it to you because you're the man. But this is Orlando Watson. You can check him out at Words Times Watson or wordsxwatson.com. Is there any other place that they can reach out to you? Because I know you will snap back at them.
Yeah, happy to connect with anybody. I spend a lot of my time on Instagram. You can follow me or find me at Lando, Lingo .LANDO. Facebook, Orlando Watson, but those are only two socials I really use actively. But yeah, reach out to me. We got a lot of stuff coming up. I curate 5 festivals a year, not including some of our signature events. Our next festival we have coming up in Pittsburgh is the We Want the Funk Festival. That's December 8th and 9th of December. That is Average White Band, Jeffrey Osborne, The Loose Ends. And then January, we're starting, which it's like a dream come true. We're starting the inaugural first annual Hooks and Phonics Festival, which, based on what we've been talking about, my history as a spoken word artist, an MC, is right up my alley. So my boss gave me the green light to roll out this idea, and I've blown it out the water. So I called in a few favors, and we're making it really happen. Got a 20-piece orchestra coming in to play behind some hip hop artists, and it's gonna be nice. 3 days, January 19th through the 21st.
So you are definitely in your sweet spot, brother. Definitely.
Yeah. It's a good day. It's a good day.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. I appreciate the time that you gave me today, brother. And we'll be in touch, man.
Absolutely. I'll text you in 5 minutes.
You got it. Peace and blessings. That's going to do it for this episode of the EntreMusician podcast. Orlando Watson, definitely reach out to him on the digits that he gave you. He will reach back. That's absolutely no problem. He's a great young man, and he is going places. He is the next Clarence Avant. You can dig it. My name is Jerry B. I am the EntreMusician. If you haven't already done so, then you need to do what Orlando has done and grab yourself this copy of The Path of the EntreMusician bestseller. Go to Amazon and get your copy today. Carry it around with you. We will see you next time. Looking forward to it. Visit us online at theentremusician.com. God bless.